I hope you're all enjoying day one of IPX so far. My name's Emma Tett. I'm the VP of Agency Innovation for Impact.com. This is my third year at IPX. I'm really grateful to be here again and have this panel with you. I'm always wowed by how much our experts know and their passion for partnerships. So if you could go ahead and introduce yourself. Michelle.
Hi, everyone. Michelle Dwyer here. I am on the content influencer and commerce team at Walmart. I joined about a year and a half ago, and what that means is I get to work on lots of exciting creator partnerships across lots of different platforms. And before my time at Walmart, I spent some time on publisher side at Ziff Davis.
Hello, my name is Jim Grace. I am the VP of Business Development at ZeroPark. I have been doing this for 22 years now, mostly on the publisher side and mostly working with Google Feeds, but yes, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Joelle Hargadine and I am with Vistaprint. I oversee our North America Partnerships program. Before that, I had a 5-year stint at Acceleration Partners.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's stay true to the title of this panel. What do you three see as the major trends and shifts in the industry at the moment? Joelle, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I think for us at Vistaprint, it's as much of a buzzword as incrementality, but an omni-channel approach to campaign management and understanding the efficacy of those campaigns. Some of that means that we use more of a micro review of it through impacts contribution reporting. We do have a mixed media model that we really lean into to understand from a macro perspective. If we spend here, are we starting to see lifts over here? I think it's really important that all marketers understand how rising tides can lift all boats, hopefully. And so that, and then of course, Google Analytics is still something that we dig into as well.
Michelle?
Yeah, so for me, I think one of the things that's super interesting in industry trends right now is just the varying degrees of commerce that we're seeing emerge, from everything from TikTok shops to YouTube affiliate to how creators are pivoting. Has been really, really interesting to see how all the different types of monetization that's happening are ebbing and flowing into the different media channels and how that's going to affect media holistically.
Thanks. Jim, you want to round us out with your industry shifts that you're seeing?
Yeah, I probably may upset a few people, but you know, a lot of agencies and brands think they're being really innovative if they're running campaigns on TikTok. And you know, let's face it, TikTok isn't as innovative as it used to be. I personally, you know, believe in commerce media. There's a whole slew of channels, new channels out there, really growing from the post-COVID world, since COVID, where brands and agencies should be going in order to get the consumers where they are making their purchases. And by commerce media, I mean like a buy now, pay later app, or a commerce content site, or a shopping comparison, or you know, any of the new marketplaces that have come up. I think it's really important that you know, that agencies and brands start to think about these instead of putting all their money with the you know, the TikToks and the Metas and the Googles. Google.
Absolutely. And speaking of that 500-pound gorilla in the room, how, as partnership professionals, have you been thinking about Google's recent changes and how have they been affecting you? All right. Joelle, you want to go back and kick us off again?
Well, they've given us a little bit of a run for our money the last couple of months, I think. So we knew something was coming, right? But we just didn't know to what extent, who would be impacted. And I think the ones that were a little taken by surprise. And so really understanding, how do we partner with those partners that are really struggling as a result of it? What are they doing, taking steps from a measurement perspective? It's been a little bit of a wild ride. And SERP, right? SERP has changed a lot, and especially in the past year and a half. And so understanding, how is that impacting our partners who rely on SERP? How is that impacting organic search? And do those trends go hand in hand? And really understanding from, again, an omni-channel perspective, you know, is paid search rising and organic search and affiliate struggling because of it? And being more realistic from a standpoint of performance has been where we've been headed.
Michelle, how's it affecting you as an advertiser?
Yeah, so as a team, working internally but also externally with our partners to really understand what's happening across the scope and where we're seeing changes and how that all balances out within our marketing and our channel mix for sure. But on the partnership side, we really are, encouraging and supporting our publisher partners, our creators, on ways to strategically develop their audiences. So that way they can have a diversified mix of how their audience is coming to them, how they're engaging with their audience, how they're continuing to build their brand equity as well. And we're seeing that really become just a bigger part of where we're spending a lot of our time, as our partners spend a lot of time there as well. And for us, I think that that's really a key part in understanding, how the partnerships will continue to evolve, because change is always going to come. And it's at times of change we see a lot of innovation, and we want to be there with our partners to help innovate.
I think that's really true. I'm not sure anybody has the full picture. So the more we can share and the more we can work, advertisers with partners, with networks, to get that fuller picture, the more we're going to be able to do. And Jim, for you, how is it?
Yeah, exactly. Because this could happen to any of the companies that we work with, right? It could happen, or may very well happen, with TikTok in the near future. So it's not just Google that is making these changes. So it's really important that you be on top of your spend and your diversification. It's all about adaptability, right? Don't get complacent, with your current spend, because chances are Google and/or another partner is going to make a change, and it's going to upend your world. So it's always good to be thinking, not complacent, thinking what could be the next thing. Are there other avenues? Are there other channels I should be putting, a small fraction, like a testing budget, into?
That's really great. I think that's definitely a very good lesson. And we all hear it, your risk profile, concentration mix, and it's so easy to rely on the things that work. And if they work, not wanting to change something. But with things like Google out there, you never know what's going to come down the road for you. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about industry shifts. Let's talk now about consumer trends. What are you seeing in terms of consumers and how their behavior is changing? Jim, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, one of the things that we've really focused on at ZeroPark is looking at user behavior, because it has changed, and it has changed drastically post-COVID. So what we are constantly looking at and trying to understand is the consumer behavior, and then developing strategies for the advertisers and brands that we work with to deliver them consumers where the consumers are, right? It doesn't start and end with Google anymore. It is a... It's a much bigger picture anymore. So I know Google is important, and I know you're going to want to continue to put budget with Google, but don't have don't
blinkers,
blindfolded, and put all of your money with them, because there are other channels, and it's just going to there are going to be more and more channels opening up, as we go forward.
Definitely. I think that's one of the things I like most about partnership marketing, is it's never the same thing, and you're always finding publishers that are finding new and creative ways to do things. Frequently on calls where I'm like, you do what? How? What? So Michelle, how about for you?
Yeah, I think for us, and this isn't going to necessarily be breaking news, but there's so much product discovery happening on social. And from a consumer standpoint as well, I think we're at a point, right, where consumers are really educated. They're going to do their research, and they also know when something is authentic or inauthentic. So building that trust, I think, is from an audience development standpoint as well, which we talked about, is really, very key right now, because I think a lot of consumers see right through when something is, sponsored or an endorsement that a creator or a publisher or somebody that's just recommending their product isn't really believing in it themselves. And that's become a really big part of it. And also, not just on the partnership side, but from a retailer standpoint, because there is so much discovery happening on social, and things are moving quicker and at the speed of light on social and really everywhere. I think the site experience and your fulfillment also has to really, really be top notch, because otherwise it's very likely that customer could abandon cart, change their mind, go right back on TikTok, scroll for a few more minutes, while they're in their doom scrolling like I might be at night sometimes. And be on to the next product that they'd want, or want to try out. If your site experience isn't great, that chance for a bounce and cart abandonment becomes a little bit more more likely. So making sure that aspect is really really tight on the experience is very important too.
No, I've absolutely abandoned my cart when I don't see 2-day delivery. Joelle, how's it affecting you at Vistaprint?
The economy sucks. Breaking news.
I've heard that.
Well, it sucks in some places. So what we have realized is that right now, more than ever, myself included, my dollar needs to stretch just a little bit further, whether that's groceries or shopping or travel. I was just having a really great conversation with the Capital One team about VentureX cards and making sure that you get your points and all that stuff. And so making sure that Vistaprint is on the forefront of all those loyalty programs and rewards. And that can be anywhere from legacy from Rakuten to, we've really leaned in the CLO space with Cardlytics as our partner, and we've tested some other things with Amex, and understanding that we need to be there where the customer is, we need to meet them, we need to right price things. And to Michelle's point, and buy now, pay later, I know Jim had mentioned that earlier, but to Michelle's point, we have to also make sure that our site experience is optimal. Customers want it cheap and they want it perfect, and that's okay. And so we have to make sure that we're there and we're able to do that, and that means a frictionless experience from start to finish, and that does include definitely loyalty for us.
Yeah, consumers are definitely setting a high bar at the moment. Okay, Michelle, Joelle, you both mentioned about communicating with partners. And this feels like table stakes. This feels like the basic of what every account manager is doing. But I think when you're juggling so many things, it can be, if you're the one person on a team doing something, or if you're a team of 10, it still can be very easy to overlook those basics. Could you give us some maybe of your tips and tricks on staying in contact with your publishers, making sure they've got the information that they need? Michelle, you want to kick us off?
Sure. So I think, in the affiliate industry, we're all pretty used to the newsletter communication. It works. It's there for a reason. Some other things that we really lean into is, marketing briefs, whether you dread them or not. I'm not sure. That's probably, I'm maybe letting a little bit of my personal opinion in. Sometimes you get a long brief and it's a little overwhelming, but we do find it is really, really helpful to educate our partners on a product launch, on a collection, on something new that's happening or something that's getting a refresh. Becomes a really great resource. And then also just regular meetings, check-ins with your partners, QBRs. For our QBRs, we really try from a partnership standpoint to make it a two-way road. It's not just, a publisher or partner coming in and telling us everything that's happening and all of the great news, but it's also, really important for a retailer to be sharing back what's happening on their site, what's coming up, what do the roadmaps look like, so that way you can innovate together, so that way you can be in a partnership where you both are learning and getting things out of both sides to be beneficial, mutually beneficial.
Joelle.
Yeah, we have an agency that also helps with this because it's a legacy program. We have the privilege of having a 20-plus-year-old program that's got a lot of partnerships and a lot of history. I just recently came on 3 years ago, and so trying to understand everything that's happened. And so the monthly calls, the QBRs, those things are great. We use the product storefront with Impact as well for key seasonal things, just to make sure that people know. And then we also want to make sure that we understand what sets us apart from our competitors. This is live stream, so my boss might kill me. But we are not the best at everything, and so we want to make sure, not yet. And so we want to make sure that our partners know with a new audience, with their new audience, here's where you can really lean in with Vistaprint, and here's where you can trust that everything's going to come out flawlessly, and then here are some new things that we're doing. For example, the other day I saw that we sell tape measures with logos on them, so if anyone's in the construction business, that might be a good idea for you. But those are unique things that maybe aren't for everyone, and so just really making sure that we're educating our partners through whatever tools we have, and then also through our resources like our agency.
And I think meeting in person.
Yes. Yeah. I would say too, those have been the most enlightening conversations is probably at conferences just like this one where you can grab dinner or grab some drinks or coffee or breakfast and really get to understand, like Michelle said, it has to be two ways. And so kind of going to my partners and saying, what's not working for you? What are you not getting? Are these emails too much? Is it, at one point we asked for a survey and I don't think anyone really enjoys those. So we stopped doing those. And so just really making sure that you're open to understanding how they need to get the information and treat them like a customer because that's what they are to us in some way, shape, or form. And then also making sure that our agency team is aware of, those pieces of feedback so they can also improve.
Thank you so much. We touched on it already a little bit, and it's an evergreen topic, but partner mix. What are the ways that you ensure that you're getting all of the different types of partners, spicing it up, trying new things? Jim, I know this is something that you do a lot of work on.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an issue. I strongly believe understanding the customer journey. Like I said earlier, we put quite a bit of emphasis and resources into understanding the customer journey, right? So I guess my biggest takeaway would be, don't put all of your budget into the Google, Meta, and TikTok landscape. You want to really be where shoppers are at. You have to use Google, yes, and it's very good to be on Meta and TikTok, but just realize those aren't the only players anymore. Never really were. So what we really focused on is commerce media. Buy now, pay later apps. So it's very important to work with those either directly with like the commerce media or through a partner that has access to their users. And one thing that I hear all the time is we'll be cannibalizing. Well, yeah, that's great. So you work with a firm already, but just because you're working with them already doesn't mean you're getting all of the inventory. So it's a really good idea to to make sure that you are getting all of the inventory. And one way you can do that is working with partners who have relationships with them and exclusive deals and whatnot, as well as directly. It's not always a case of just because you're working directly with a company or a site that you automatically are going to get all of the inventory, because there are different placements and they have different deals with various people and technology. One of the things we kind of joke about in the office is how a lot of the brands and the agencies really don't have good technology. And so if you are working directly with the buy now, pay later and they send you their data, well, if you don't know what to do with that data, or if you're not able to target it or optimize it, it's not really working to your benefit.
Absolutely. I do know some brands and some agencies with good technology, but I can definitely understand we don't all have all of the strengths. Michelle, how are you going about diversifying the partner mix for Walmart?
Yeah, I think, I mentioned I work on the content influencer and commerce team. So we've got quite a few people diversifying our partner set. We do have that luxury. And I think another aspect is to look into software and services and tools and other resources to help you take that data and do something with it. I do think oftentimes we get stuck in a little bit of analysis paralysis where there's so much happening and you say, oh, what do I do with this now? So looking into those resources and tools to help you understand the data is probably pretty crucial. I know at Walmart we use SimilarWeb, which I think is pretty common in the industry to help us understand our partner mix, our audience, and other insights as well.
And for you, Joelle, Vistaprint?
Yeah, just to echo, I think the other thing with the partner mix is how you're partnering with your partners. And so a lot of us were probably in the last session, talked about TM Plus, paid social, PR. And so understanding ways that you can maybe find new avenues to work with your existing partners who you've built a really good relationship with has been a part for us. For example, TM Plus has been a campaign that we just launched, and it was something that I wanted from day one at Vista. It's been never done before. It's been very much poo-pooed, if you will. And so getting that off the ground and having a measurable impact in place to say, this is what we expect from organic search, this is what we expect from paid search, this is what has to happen with Ziff in order for this to work for us, has been a huge success and has been able to refill some of the buckets of these performance challenges that we've had.
I really like that. Like, if you've already built a relationship with someone, you put the time and the effort in, build it further. Look for new ways they can help you, because it's going to save you time in the long run, I'm sure. Okay, so from partner mix to customer mix. New customer acquisition versus customer retention is an ongoing conversation. I know also that the economy has changed things for that. How at Vistaprint and Walmart are you looking at those? Michelle?
So I think at Walmart, we carry some products. I don't know if you've ever shopped at a Walmart before. There's a lot of
quite niche, right?
Yeah, small boutique. We're kind of taking a new lens, to how we think about, especially in the partnerships area with creators and with publishers, of what do we consider a new customer? What do we consider an existing customer? How do we retain those customers? And a lot of our focus has been on how do we get a customer to diversify their basket when they are shopping with Walmart. And this has come through a lot of ways by what, our team on the partnership side is doing day in, day out, and introducing those products to our partners, who then introduce them to our customers and our potential customers. But we often have to think about an existing customer through a new customer lens. If somebody's shopping with us for one category, how do we get them to consider us for another category? How do we show them that we've got really great apparel lines for women with Sofia Vergara, and we just relaunched a No Boundaries collection, and we've got Scoop, and we've got all these amazing brands. How do we get that in front of them for consideration, so that way they can shop Walmart for more things that are of value and also convenience? So that's really comes down to, how do we approach that with our partners from a commissioning standpoint? How do we get them that information in their hands, so that way they can action on it as well? And just deploying lots of different tactics to position our story and our products and our brand in a unique way that will hopefully capture an existing customer and turn them into a new category customer.
I think that's a really interesting perspective on new customer versus retention that I haven't heard before. And I think it treats the customer with a lot of respect. Every purchase you're making is a decision. It is money that you're spending. You may have an allegiance to somewhere else, and you are working to earn that. It's also a great chance to use different commissioning based on categories and different payout groups, so you can really align with your publishers.
Yeah, I'll just say that there's just an abundance of choice right now. So I think having a really unique approach of how you interact with your existing customer is really important, because there's so many options out there, great options. So if you want to get in front of those customers, you've got to really do it in a thoughtful way.
Yeah. And how do you think about it at Vistaprint?
Anyone played Whack-A-Mole? Okay, my year one, it was all new customers, and all we were worried about was new customers. And then year two, it was like, wait, now we need retention. So year three is the year for us where we are working in parallel, and we're really working towards making sure we're reaching new audiences, i.e. Gen Z, because they are going to be the new purchase buyer, if you will, for us. And so understanding, how do we launch Creator with Impact? How do we have and stand up an influencer program while running with our legacy partners, ensuring that we're working to a retention strategy. And that could be anywhere from next best purchase analysis, understanding that we don't need to provide a customer a site-wide offer, but maybe someone who has bought brochures is now ready for their retractable banner for their next IPX booth, And so making sure that we're not putting things on promo that doesn't make sense to the customer. I'm not saying promos are the end-all be-all, but it does help in really some of that barrier to entry. So this is the year for us to reduce the whack-a-mole game and kind of just start working in parallel.
That's great, thank you. So sort of wedding albums onto baby albums.
Yes, exactly. Move with them.
Yes, I like that. It's treating the customer with a lot of respect, and I really like that. Okay, so we are coming up on time. We've got about 5 minutes left. One question that I always ask, whoever I'm meeting in the industry, is, what are you keeping an eye on? There are so many industry shifts and evolving consumer trends that it can be really hard to stay on top of everything. What are the ones that you're looking at? Michelle.
I'm going to bring it back to what we started the panel with, and what I mentioned is something that I'm keeping my eye on is the varying degrees of commerce, where commerce is emerging, how customers are engaging in different apps and platforms, where they want to be where they are spending their time, and what that might shift to. I think that's really something for me, that I've been watching for a while, and it's very interesting to keep an eye on, and what it's doing to the partnership landscape as well. The way that partners are monetizing looks very different this year than it did 2 years ago. There's different, creator economies that are growing. So for us, really staying on top of that from a partnership mix and keeping your eye on what might be emerging. And I think that commerce aspect within app and is really where we want to spend a lot of our time and our thinking about.
Just putting you on the spot here, where are you finding that information? Like, do you have any really juicy sources? And not the secret ones, obviously, but where are you getting your information from?
I have no juicy sources at all. I think it really just comes down to an evaluation of following the customer and really trying to understand where they are spending their time, and also understanding how customers want to engage in certain places. There's a time and a place for everything. I think balancing that as well is part of the equation when we do look at where these emerging experiences are happening and where people are spending their time. Do you have a right to be there in that type of landscape and show up in a specific way, or questions that we are asking.
So really a lot of deep diving into your own data, looking at that conversion path, seeing how trends are changing and evolving. Interesting. Jim.
I think AI, it's been a big buzzword for the last year now.
And I think there's a whole panel on that somewhere.
Right, exactly.
So
I'm surprised we haven't
one.
said more about AI. But I think it's going to disrupt a lot of the things we do, so that's going to be interesting. This is really a life lesson. That's what I tell my nieces and nephews. Change is constant. I wish I could quote that phrase, or could copyright that phrase. But don't fear change. It's going to happen whether we like it or not. So, embrace it. And then finally, adaptability. It's very important to be open-minded. SERP has changed many times in the last 20 years. It's going to change more. So, don't put all of your media spent eggs in one Google Meta basket.
I'm going to use Vistaprint to put that on a bumper sticker for you.
Perfect.
Echoing, I actually love being on these panels because Jim reminded me to just chill and be adaptable and ride the wave. I can't control Google. I wish I could. I'd probably be a lot richer than I currently am. And so understanding that is just a factor, and understanding how do you pivot? How do you have levers that you're ready to pull? How do you start to have more contingency planning? I think I got spoiled for a few years where I didn't really have to do a whole lot in terms of contingency planning. And I think we're in a season of okay, if this happens, then we got to do this. And if this happens, we got to do this. And being okay with that, I think adaptability is going to be key. And I'm still working. I'm a work in progress. So
we all are. Okay, we are at time. So thank you so much to the panel for joining us. Thank you for everybody in the audience. It's been a pleasure being here. Find us afterwards. Thank you.